Hey Arne.
Hallo iedereen.
Welkom in de Pakhuis Zwijger. We moeten trouwens Engels
switchen. So we go to switch to English?
Switch to English now. Welcome to the magic of South by Southwest. We have an exhilarating program for the next 2 hours. My name is Danny Friedman. Next to me, my partner in crime,
Arne Koevoet.
Yes, and we're going to do a stand-up comedian show for 5 minutes, and then the real serious speaker will come. Arne, we're actually going to talk about this year's edition, right?
Right.
Tell us.
So we had, well, let's say medium expectations. We didn't know what to expect. It was like the phoenix from the flames. We didn't know what would come out in South by, and we had a whole new format. And yeah, to me,
the Flying Dutchman.
Yeah, we were without a house for the first time, so we had no home base. A little bit scary, especially for me, since I make spaces for people. So just to walk about and not have a home base was an interesting concept, and it really paid off, I think. So I loved it.
Yeah, I think so too. I think if you look back on, of course, our last activation to 2019, right, and where we got back today, I think we really went out and to visit other partners, the Danish people, the Rolling Stone magazine, and I think we're going to speak in a few moments with Claudia Schwartz from the Innovation Bridge Europe.
Yes, we are.
Yeah, about to talk about the partnership.
Yeah, so I think the Innovation Bridge house was in a way still our house, but
it is.
But just moving out there and moving to all the other places and being able to connect with more people in that sense was I think was a hack of the way we experienced South by in the past with the Dutch Wave, and I think it really paid off so far. I heard really positive.
Yeah, well, we will hear about it today later. Excellent. If you would change something for 2023, is there something you would change?
Good question. So I would definitely love to extend more into the music week, because I think what for me is the special thing about South by is the serendipity and the cross-pollination between their different tracks. Yeah. So I would love to add more tracks on that side. I would love to bring more art and design from Holland, because we had a really strong tech group, but I would love to extend that. And then, of course, in the end, I am a space maker. So if we get our own space, I would embrace the idea, but I would still remain this Flying Dutchman schoolreisje.
And for the first time ever, I know you've been complaining to me about this last 6 years, that you actually had a chance
I never complain.
To go out and actually go into talks, meet people. Is there something from a, if you look at the inspirational point of view, you actually said, Danny, this was the one I went to and I took with me back home?
Oh, that's such a bad thing not to prepare me for this question. I had many super inspirational things. One of the things I remember best, though, was going with Rory one of the last nights. And that's Rory over there. And we were wandering into this open area where they first had the crypto bunny thing, which I didn't understand at all. No. And then it was like a whole new area. And in one of those geodesic domes, they had this amazing trip projected in the whole dome, which was like an ongoing trip, 3D generated. Yeah. And I don't know what it was, but that was definitely my highlight.
It felt good. All right.
The Japanese grunt hip hop was nice as well.
You will be here tonight, Arne.
Yes, of course.
Open for questions, open for inspiration.
Yeah, so please come to me if you need any inspiration or you have any questions. I will leave the stage to Danny. He's a much better moderator than I am. And there's more people coming. Hi, Claudia. Nice to see you. Again. Oh, you look beautiful. Where are you? You look very international. Wow.
This is Austin.
This is Austin.
Ah, you're in Austin. Okay.
Give Arne applause. Arne Koevoet. Claudia, great having you here live in the studio here in Amsterdam. How have you been? You look great, by the way.
Oh, that's kind. I've actually herniated a disc 2 days ago. This is what happens when you go straight from home office to the gym, I guess. So, so unfortunately, I had to cancel my trip. I was going to be there in person, so now I'm...
That's okay. Claudia, just a fresh up for the people who do not know you. Can you tell us a little bit in 1 minute pitch who you are, what you do?
Sure. Yeah, my name is Claudia Schwartz. I run a company. I'm a managing director and co-founder of a company called German Innovation. We try to help Germany-based innovators, creatives, and entrepreneurs with their aspirations to go international and also to cross-innovate. That's one of my companies. I also co-founded the Federal Association for Music Technology. So my background is in creative technology and thus the connection to South by. And with German Innovation and the New Dutch Wave, we co-founded Innovation Bridge Europe, which is sort of the host, or was the host of this year's South by location that we.
If you look back at this year's edition, right? Because let's not forget the Austrians in this immaculate combination. How was it for you to to run a programming based on 3 countries, a way which you actually orchestrated, I think, in 6 weeks, from signing until operation? How was it for you from an experience point of view?
I'm a big fan of the idea of Europe, so I think that putting that into motion on a daily basis was a lot more challenging than I anticipated. So the philosophy, I think, is there, and the love and the passion for international collaboration is definitely there, and that put us through a lot of the challenges that we had. And maybe for the people out there to know that we changed locations less than 5 weeks before South by started. So that was just insanity. And I heard a little bit of what Arne said about being a space maker, and I've been in location production for a long time, and it kind of pained me to not have the time to actually produce the location. The location itself was beautiful, and the collaboration with all of you guys was amazing. With obviously there were a couple of challenges that we had, never having had the chance to work together on this on a location site before. So a lot of new sort of like it was just a learning curve, but I truly enjoyed it. I hope that we can at least continue to work on some of these elements, even though some of the countries that we worked with on a smaller basis might choose to have their own location again in the future. But I would love to carry over some of the ideas that we try to explore, and some of the ideas that we didn't get to explore, but have in our bags, in our creative bags in the future. So so short answer, I think that was my long answer, but short answer.
No, that's okay.
I truly enjoyed working with all of you. And
if you take 3 things out of this combination, we learned that actually had worked, right? It works with the Dutch, with the Germans and Austrian. If you would take that towards 2023 and beyond, what would those 3 be?
Yeah, I think our attitude towards conferences like South by or Web Summit is sort of that there is a really great sort of basic structure there. There's a really great conference. There's a really great, trade show. There's lots of people. And what we try to do with Innovation with Europe, or, you with the new Dutch Wave, we with German Innovation, we try to add value to those existing formats and kind of piggyback onto those bigger conferences. We're not trying to reinvent the conference. We're not trying to do a parallel conference. So I think that at least to me, that was kind of obvious, that where the value really lies is in curated networking. This, for me, at least, needs to be international and interdisciplinary and really focused on cross-innovation and knowledge transfer. And I think that's something that I felt that were the most successful formats where we were able to establish those principles.
Yeah. And I think what I hope, of course, and always when you look back, at this very immense week where you work from 8 to 12 and later, that you also had a chance to really, be proud of what we accomplished, because I think you did an amazing job, Claudia.
It was teamwork all across the board. So I appreciate that compliment, but it's really a teamwork, and I wish we would have had more resources. And but yes, in the spirit of positivity, I think just pulling it off was an amazing achievement. And we've gone through so many struggles on, and nationally, you as well as we did, and the Austrians as well, and the Scandinavians as well, to simply convince people to invest into 2022 and not take the easy way out and say, let's skip another year. So I think I'm really proud of that, and that we kind of stuck with it and made the best that we could with the little resources that we had at our fingertips.
So maybe for next year, maybe you start a little bit earlier than 2 months before.
We've started, We've started a long time ago. We've never really stopped planning. So
True.
We have about a third of the partners in place for 23, and we have about 50% of the schedule done for 23. So so it's really good to have a structure in place.
I see a good invitation for this group of people to come over to South by. Thank you, Claudia, and stay safe in Hamburg. Okay.
Yes, have a great night. Enjoy the party.
Claudia Schwartz, big applause. So this new Dutch Wave thing, right? We created, Arne and I, with a group of amazing people 6 years ago. Could only have been created because it was also co-funded by our government. And we have someone here from our government as a host. Simone, could you come up to the stage and share with me the stage and talk a little bit about, yes, thank you, Simone. Yes. Simone, good having you here. Could you elaborate a little bit about CreativeNL, right, and the heritage, and what the top sector is, which is an interesting word, of course, from the Dutch.
Yeah.
Could you elaborate a little bit about what you do for kind of work?
Yes, of course, of course. So yes, basically, I am the managing director of CreativeNL. So we are a public-private organization, and we are here. Our raison d'être is that we are the international portal for the Dutch creative industries. So every creative professional that has aspiration to go to take this international leap, we are really
the place to be.
Yeah, we are really the place to be.
Yeah.
And also we try to put our Dutch creative industries in the light for foreign clients.
Yeah. So the first, I remember we had a
Maybe I'm a bit of the Dutch Claudia in a sense.
Exactly, right? Yeah, and of course we have Vera coming in as well later on, so maybe a good combination.
Yeah, we can
strong women on stage. We wanted more.
Yeah.
You first were named Creative Holland, and now you are CreativeNL. What happened with the change?
Yeah, we are in this rebranding process. We still basically are a bit in this rebranding process, but we're getting there. So we did have the Holland branding from the Netherlands, so it was the orange tulip and stuff like that. But now it is Netherlands branding. Okay. So like also the short answer is it's not Creative Holland anymore. It's CreativeNL.
Yes, yes. Which
we need. Netherlands.
Yes.
We are the Netherlands. Yeah. But it's more, of course, because we also did made a change. I think in our ambitions. Mm-hmm. So we were there purely for the market extension, but now we are more also still with the aim of export and market extension, but also to try to make this positive change with one another, and that we show that we, as the Dutch, can have this positive impact in the world as it is today.
Yeah. If you look at CreativeNL and the international expansion, but also the international ambition, why is it so important for CreativeNL to be in other parts of the world and also beating the drum about the brand CreativeNL?
So what exactly is your question?
Why is it so important to internationalize the CreativeNL brand, also for the Netherlands, for our industry?
Yeah, because we can be fucking proud of who we are, what we do.
True.
And sometimes if you look at it from a more, a governmental perspective, like art, but also creativity, is a bit like put down. But we need to be proud of who we are. So I'm also super proud of if I see this. This is who we are, and we do it together, and we make this bizarro crossovers between more art and design and tech, and this is who we are, like open and inventive and
really a Dutch way.
That's the Dutch way. That's Dutch way. Yeah. So more of that, please.
Yeah, please.
Yeah.
Can imagine.
Yeah.
You just when were you appointed last year? I think during how long ago were you appointed managing director of CreativeNL? It's been a while already.
Yeah, so I it was a shared function with Femke Blok, and now it's only me.
Okay.
Yeah. So it's for a few months now. Yeah.
Any things you can share on the ambition for the next couple of years? You want to share already a little bit of taste of what we're going to get?
Yes, I do actually, because the Netherlands we have a share of 29.5%. So we are the largest exporter of creativity worldwide, guys. So that's something.
Ooh, that's a big number, yeah.
Yeah, and my and our ambition is really to extend that further, of course. But also to do this in a way that we make the world a better place. And that's something to work on as well. Also for ourselves as an organization, we have this ambition, and I think
something to be proud of also.
This is a process, right? So we can be like inclusive and open in a sense, but we can have this ambition, we can talk about it, we discuss it, and we can be a bit more vulnerable about it. And then I think we will take steps.
Great having you here. Anything you want to share with this audience you know, about what we can do together? Any partnership you're looking for tonight? What you were taking with you tonight?
Well, if you have ambitions, we do have the United States as a focus country, but we also do have China and Germany as our focal points. Right. So if you do have any interest in
China,
I
don't see any hands yet. Right, right. There's one hand.
Or Germany.
Germany, Claudia, of course, but.
Yeah, please find me, and I brought my brand new colleague Vera Kuipers as well. She will introduce herself in a minute, I think. So if you have more United States ambitions, you can just directly speak to Vera Westing. Yeah.
Thank you for hosting us also tonight, Simone.
Yes, it's my pleasure. Absolutely. Thank you.
Simone van Bennekom. Thank you. All right. 15 minutes past 8, I think we're right on time. We have a short video of South by Southwest and New Dutch Wave, and then we're going to introduce Vera Kuipers. So enjoy the video.
It's so awesome to be part of the kickoff of the South by Southwest New Dutch Wave movement. It's what they call it a movement.
I don't think South by really opens the pastures until the Dutch House.
Well, it's really great to be back in Austin. We've been partnering with New Dutch Wave from the beginning as CreativeNL, because we found South by Southwest here in Austin to be one of those international hotspots where creatives, entrepreneurs, science, government come together and have lots of inspiration and connecting talks.
There's so many Dutch people here. There's a strong representation of all these Dutch agencies that we have and the work that the creative industry in Holland is doing. Makes me proud too.
It is a kind of a center where people come together to join forces and to exchange knowledge.
Part of the reason why we're here is to connect with people. You know, we're very tech dependent, we're a big tech company, so getting access to the right resources is important for us.
What we have here is our roof terrace, and inside there are music, there are bands playing, but we had a whole schedule of 4 full days with talks, meetings, and so much going on.
We just performed here at the New Dutch Wave on South by Southwest, and it was awesome. I had so much fun, and it's just so great being all the way from home and doing our songs and having this experience is very nice.
All these creative people, all those technology-driven people combine together and hustle and create this new energy. And it's the energy over here, but when you get home, you really realize what you have taken from Austin back to the Netherlands.
Give a warm applause to Vera Kuipers and the panel.
Thank you very much, Danny. Yes, they also asked me to introduce myself to you all. My name is Vera, and I just started officially this month as the focal point United States for CreativeNL. A little bit of background. I used to work and live in New York for a total of 17 plus years. Moved back last year. And in my last role, I worked for about 7.5 years for the Dutch consulate in New York, where I promoted and supported Dutch arts and culture. So I've been very well connected to the world of creative industries, and also what the government is doing abroad to further people's business and talent. So it's wonderful to be able to have this part-time position to help steer people in the right direction, basically. So that's in short who I am. But we're here to talk about South by Southwest 2022. I haven't been there in a few years. So after seeing this video, I'm like vicariously living it all through the video, and all the fond memories are coming back. I see a few people that I've met definitely in Austin over the years, and I have a panel here with really enthusiastic attendees. So without further ado, I'd like to ask them to introduce themselves. We lost one of our panelists, so we have 3 left, but they have a lot to talk about. So we have Sandra on my left, and then we have Marieke and then Mike. And let's just start with Sandra over here to introduce yourself in about a minute, maybe a little longer. And I'd also like to know, was it your first time going to South by? Or thank you.
Okay, my name is Sandra. It was in Austin. I work as a freelance communications advisor with a focus on digital innovation and IT projects. I live in Amsterdam. I'm also the founder of the Ministry of Innovative Affairs. In short, it's MINIS, Ministerie van Innovatieve Zaken. Together with my 3 other MINIS mates, we focus on helping organizations with the introduction of digital innovation in their daily business. About your question, it was my second time to South by. 2019 was the first time I attended. And in 2020, I was ready. I almost packed my bags, but then COVID happened, so I'm glad I was there in 2022.
Yeah. Then it was like 2 years later, you were back.
Yeah,
and you were the only one from your company representing.
Yes, I
lucky.
was. Yeah, lucky me.
Yeah. Let's go to Marieke.
Thank you very much. My name is Marieke Smit. I work for the Ministry of Infrastructure and Water Management. And I am responsible for a program called Hybrid Electric Aviation. I've worked in aviation for quite a while. I am a previous manager of the Royal Schiphol Group. And that was also the company that sent me to South by Southwest for the first time 2 years ago. But then, of course, it wasn't happening. And then 2 years later, I was seconded to the ministry. And I said, well, I still have this ticket. Do you know this conference? Maybe I can go because it's happening. And they didn't know about it. And I was still allowed to go. So I was really happy. And I had a little bit of a specific interest in transportation and sustainable mobility. And well, I only met the Dutch bunch while I was there. Up front, I was really looking forward to meeting a lot of international colleagues working in aviation, in mobility and infrastructure. And that also happened. So I think I got a lot out of it.
Oh, that sounds great. I'm really surprised that at your ministry they had no idea what South by Southwest was, because have they been sleeping under a rock or something? But it's good that you were able to, I guess, convince them that it's a very valuable place to go to. But we'll go into that later. Let's go to Mike, and I think you also have a little surprise introduction for us or something.
Well, it's no surprise.
Oh.
Just a video.
Okay.
And I'm not working for a ministry. So, yeah, I'm Mike Veldhuis, working for Nalta. I'm partner at Nalta. We are a Dutch software developer, technology company. And 2018 was my first time I attended South by Southwest. And that was also the first time I started vlogging, because we thought it would make sense to bring a little bit of the energy back to the Netherlands, what was happening there. And luckily, after 2 years, we could visit Austin again, and I could pick up my camera and do this stuff all over again. And that's the thing we prepared.
We're back at South by Southwest 2022.
South by Southwest, in one word.
Party! Playing? Design? Booze!
Party! Why should you go to South by Southwest?
I think it's both the inspiration, the talks, but also how they do an event.
We want to try to get into contact with as much Americans as we can to further ignite the growth of our brand.
I think, you know, South by is also the place where you really connect and also find talent to connect to your companies.
Yeah.
And of course, what we also learned is that in the last years, there's a big group of investors walking around just on the street where we're hoping to connect with. So it's really also the, you know, the ability to connect, and also the access to capital, and you know, getting talent from the US to the Netherlands and back and forth.
Loved it. What I think South by Southwest should totally use that. I mean, great marketing for them as well. Did you also follow the money, like Danny mentioned?
No, I'm not like Danny, you know.
was just wondering. Well, in terms of like you mentioned, you know, you like preparing the videos and vlogging. Question for all of you, but maybe let's start with Mike. What was the reason for you to visit South by Southwest? I mean, you've been there once before, but what made you go? Was it FOMO or was it?
I made them tell it. Party, music, like. Well, the real reason for me was like in 2018 was like a big experience. I didn't really know what to expect, and it was much more than I anticipated to. You know, we had a very packed program and saw so many things, and we had FOMO, still FOMO, fear of missing out.
Yes.
Yeah. So. In 2019, it was a little bit better, so my schedule was a little bit more quiet, and actually this edition was far better because of everything that the New Dutch Wave arranged around the houses and the things we could participate in, but it was not really a full program. So I expected to be inspired, getting experience, meeting people, meeting the Dutch people especially. But I'm still sizzling, you know. It's still the energy that's flowing, being there, coming back to the Netherlands and spreading the word. Yeah.
And I kind of like sense that less is more a little bit for you.
That's a lesson, yes.
Okay, that's very interesting. Marika, I think you didn't necessarily go for the Dutch people.
No, not up front, actually. I thought, well, aviation is a very international business. And there's a lot happening when it comes to sustainable aviation, battery electric, hybrid aviation. And when I noticed there was an aviation or a transportation track within South by Southwest, I looked into it and I saw a lot of interesting delegations, such as Embraer, but also a lot of startups looking into electric aviation. And I thought it was really, well, a good idea to get out there a bit more and to get, after 2 years of home office, to really get an idea of what was happening. And also get out there as a public servant, basically, to tell our story and to say that we as the Netherlands and as, well, Northwestern Europe are really into making aviation more sustainable, because that's the only way that we can keep being connected. So I was really happy to be there, and it was only, well, I think just a couple of sessions that were really interesting for me, but I got a lot out of them, and I'm still in touch with a lot of people I met there.
Oh, great. So you definitely have some follow-up to do, and new connections were made. That's great. So I'm also, curious about you. You decided to go for the second time. Was it different the second time around in terms of preparation? What did you do different?
Well, it was definitely different in preparation. The first time I went, I remember I was there on a Thursday night, I think. And in that time, they had this little booklet with the program in it. And I thought, oh, okay, I should have prepared this in advance because there's so much to do, so much to hear, so much to see. So this year, I took a deep dive in the program of South by and selected up front some sessions I wanted to attend. And what also was a big help was the program that New Dutch Wave made. So yeah, it was quite different the second time. Yeah, but also I was quite curious what to expect. In 2019, it was really crowded. You had to stand in line to attend sessions, and this year, sometimes I was really surprised. How.
It's easier to access.
Yeah, it was easier to access.
So would you say it would also be like a little bit more quality over quantity? Because I remember how you can drown in the program in South by if you aren't prepared or if you don't make your choices beforehand.
Well, for this year, I had 2 sessions I really wanted to attend. So that was my deep dive in the program up front. I really wanted to attend the both sessions with Amy Webb, a futurologist. Maybe some people in the... Yeah, I see some people nodding. Yeah, 2 sessions. I really want to attend her keynote because 3 years ago I was really blown away by her insights. And the fun fact of her presentations is that she has an amazing amount of trends she presents. And with every trend, she has a positive, an optimistic scenario, and for me, quite difficult word to pronounce, the catastrophic scenario.
Catastrophic.
Oh, thank you. So I really want to attend her session. I was really curious what she had to say about, for instance, metaverse. And the other session I attended, there she was a host, and she interviewed the writer of a series called Upload, which is about the digital afterlife, which is a metaverse. So that was quite surprising.
Sounds thrilling.
Yeah.
And we were also in this panel to talk about those trends and like innovation and what are we expecting, or if you look beyond 2022 in the future, can you share anything? Maybe start with Marieke.
Yeah, sure. Well, I think all that I look at is the future, is 2030, 2050, when you look at aircraft and how you are trying to develop that just takes a long time. And what really surprised me at South by, that there was also already some demonstrations. I had a session where there was an actual hydrogen electric engine on stage, which they really demonstrated. Wow. And I think that gives you a real feeling of, okay, everything that we're saying, it's actually happening, and there are people working on this. There's engineers, there's technicians, there's like maintenance specialists who are really making this happen. So for me, it's I think more almost the other way around. I'm always talking about goals, ambitions, the future. When are we finally able to fly zero emission? Well, maybe sooner than we think.
Oh, wow, that's exciting. Mike, for you, anything that stood out? What was like remarkable for you in that sense?
Well, a lot about NFTs, a lot about Web3, AI, but those are the obvious, you know. Some especially the Amy Webb keynote was really awesome. I loved it. And she was talking about synthetic biology, like synthetic chicken and stuff like that, and hard drives that are built on DNA, so you can store more data on it, which is awesome. On the other hand, you know, you can read a book or go to the web and learn about it as well, and it's the people that make it special. And I wrote it down because I couldn't pronounce his name. His name is Rohit Bhargava, and he had a keynote. It was the day after Amy Webb's keynote, the 10 non-obvious megatrends shaping the future, which was awesome. But for me, what really stood out is how he did his research. So it was not only about his megatrends, but that he really spent a year looking in all sorts of literature and the internet, but especially looking at the stuff that he wouldn't want to read. So he got influenced by all the stuff that was not naturally attracted to him, you know? Oh, wow. And he wrote a book about it, and was awesome. So we had a colleague on the trip as well, and she mailed me, do you have the keynote? Because he promised us to send the slides, and we didn't receive the slides. So I thought, why not? I sent him an email. So I did. And I sent him an email like, okay, maybe we want to hire you and get you to the Netherlands. And by the way, can you send your slides to us, you know? So I immediately got an offer for $30,000 to come over here. And a day after that, he actually sent me a message with this keynote. And it's just blown away by the way they perform and put such an enormous amount of information into 50 minutes or something like that, which is really inspirational.
And now, do you have an event set up to invite him for the $30,000?
No, of course not. No. But well, probably Danny. He's following the money, so.
I mean, hey, come on in. Well, it sounds like something a lot of people would benefit from. So.
Yeah, I can send you the slides. There's no problem at all.
You have the slides to share. Slides for all.
But one thing I would like to add is not something you receive from the speeches as well, but it's what you experience from yourself. Arne was talking about the dome, and I went into this dome with Geert, one of the partners of Nalta, and it was all dark and like crazy stuff on the roof, and you had to lay down on your back. Well, I'm never going to lay down in a tent, you know, come on, get out of here. But it's South by Southwest, so we did. And we had a 30-minute tapping session. Have you ever had a tapping session? You had to tap and think about your anxiety and stuff like that, and it really works. So that's South by Southwest as well.
Yeah, expect the unexpected, I guess. Anything that any of you missed this year, and you would definitely like to see when you, because it sounds like all of you will return.
Of course.
Am I right? And anything you missed that, or also in terms of like New Dutch Wave, where you felt like, hey, this is what we can enhance. No critique, no constructive feedback. That's very positive. I mean, that's great.
No, there is always something.
There's always something.
Go ahead. Your turn.
Of course. No, well, maybe to continue on this on the public side a little bit. I saw that there was a really big delegation from Germany, for example, also in the exhibition and really supporting their industry. And I really would say that we as the Netherlands should do that more as well, because I think it's all about the combination and the alignment when you have your policy really supporting your industry, and they should be out there as well. And I think maybe there's a role for New Dutch Wave as well to make them more enthusiastic and to really say, hey, you got to get out there as well, because I think it really gives you even more credibility. That's what I noticed with the Germans at least. Maybe that's something.
That's a good takeaway. I'm looking for any signs on time. I'm not sure if I still have. How many? 2? 2 minutes left. Okay, thank you. I was just like nervous. I'm like, where's Linda? There she is. Okay, so we have time for maybe one more question. In terms of like, you know, you're inspired. You would go back. You know, sometimes you come because you really want to chase that money or that project or share the narrative about the Netherlands, because we can also be proud of what we're doing here, as Simone also elaborated on earlier. But also, are there any people or like projects or other like initiatives that you encountered where you feel like I want to invite them back, or this is something where, you know, we can also take a role, because it's not always about bringing, but also, you know, you also want to like invite people back in, maybe, or
maybe the format itself, like the combination of music and film and interactive. Although they're on different days, it's this melting pot of creativity, and I would love to see like an event here in the Netherlands that copies a little bit of that vibe, you know, yeah, that would be my suggestion.
Oh, so maybe that's something else that we can all.
You should make it fun. I really, I totally agree. If you make something fun and you put also a lot of content in there, you have double the output,
double the joy.
And it is certainly a lot of fun.
Yeah. Oh, okay. Anything that you did? Was there any like business or any context that you feel like you're following up on, or you're inviting them back to the Netherlands, or any new connections?
Well, I made definitely some new connections. But what I would like to add is one of the presentations that was hosted by New Dutch Wave that really made a great impression. That was the presentation by Hundo. And I thought that was a very special presentation because her initiative is to educate young people and give them, learn them Web3 technology and use the metaverse to build their resume.
Wow.
So those are youngsters from a lower background. And in that way, she gives them a kickstart at the job market. And I thought that was a really positive impact of a new technology like the metaverse.
Wow. Yeah. Well, that's on that note. I think that's very inspiring and positive. And I think it's clear anyone that wasn't there missed out. And here's to next year.
Absolutely.
Sounds like we're all going back. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
So I'm not sure if my mic is working. My mic is working now. We're going to watch another quick video before we go to the next panel. Please have a seat.
With digital design, we've got close to 30 partners being digital design agencies from the Netherlands, and close to a third of those were attending South by Southwest this year.
When I saw like the 5 presentations, it made me feel really proud, because it also makes you feel a bit sort of humble and small, because there was so much inspiring work there.
And I really love the idea of all these designers from the Netherlands and all these agencies here thinking about how we're going to design the future, and I love to be a part of that.
It was very interesting to see that most of the things we have been doing for a few years and talking about for a few years now are actually happening.
The presentations were as good, or maybe some of them like even better than what I've seen on the South by Southwest itself.
Especially there was one about how AR is being applied in a really cool and human way. Yeah, it's nice to see that kind of thing.
What I've been seeing so far, and I want to see more of it, just hologram and volumetric video development, because I think that will be the next step for us in terms of thinking of how we can bridge the digital world and the physical world even more.
Digital design coming from a Dutch soil has been on a high level for a long time.
I'm in love with the Dutch design. There's always something going on, and it's not only about digital, it's from how the streets are being built, kind of like how the signage in the airport is being designed.
It's extremely creative people using the tools in the best possible ways. It's super inspiring.
So we're back with the second panel, and I'm actually not on the video, but that's good. Agencies. They've been crucial also for leading the Dutch delegation towards South by last year. I thank you for your partnership, Bert, and I give the floor to Suzanne van Nierop. Thank you.
Thank you. My name is Suzanne van Nierop. I'm chief editor of Adformatie. That's one of the leading media and marketing platform in the Netherlands. We cover South by Southwest, but I think I'm the only one here on stage who's never been there, actually. So maybe I'm the right person over here, because I'm really curious to all your stories. So I'm on stage over here with a delegation of the Dutch agencies who actually been there. Bert Hagendoorn, he's founder of Dutch Digital Design, and he's one of the driving forces of bringing Dutch creativity to Austin. We have 3 other agencies who actually presented over there. As I said, I'm really curious. I imagine always that if you're walking around there, you run into Jeff Bezos eating nachos, and maybe Elon Musk riding his e-bike, but maybe that's a little bit too romantic image of Austin.
We miss them.
Yeah, okay. But we were going to listen to a short presentation of what you actually told to the audience over there. I think Bert told me it was 15 minutes over there, and you had to cut it back to 5 right now. So I'm going to introduce you to Bert Hagendoorn, founder of Dutch Digital Design, Ruben van Boombost, UX designer of Fabriek, Dani Polak, you're the creative director of Côte d'Azur, and Kees Dingler, founder of Capitola. I'm giving the stage to you, Ruben. So.
Where is it on? Great. All right. Thank you so much, everybody, for coming. My name is Ruben van Boombost. I'm a user experience designer at Fabriek in Amsterdam, and we create a lot of digital products and services. And let me start out by saying I don't really like to speak to other people. And you can laugh, but I'm guessing you don't either. Because if we look at the world right now, we're all pretty much isolated, right? We're all looking at our own phones. We're not even noticing most of the world around us. And that actually happens. That's something that happens. And if I look at myself, it also happens to me, right? So if you give me the opportunity to either go to a chatbot to solve a problem or to, call somebody on the phone, I will go to the chatbot. Like, that's what happens. I don't really like to talk to other people. And, maybe it's a bit much, but we're all so isolated. We even decided it's a good idea to maybe also isolate cows and give them their own virtual reality world so they can produce better milk. No, that's a joke. But anyway, I don't know if you remember this example from Google. It was from a couple of years ago, and they demonstrated a new technology they made where you can make a phone call to a barber shop, but you don't have to call them yourself. The AI will call the shop for you and will actually talk to the other person on the phone who doesn't know that she is speaking to a robot. So, that's kind of the state where some of the world is going. Of course, not all of it, but,
Let's listen.
Oh, yeah, I'm going to skip it because I have 5 minutes. But you could say the world is actually becoming less human, right? And why is that? Well, yeah, it's because we want it. And us as designers at Fabriek, also as a design agency, we work together on this. So, for example, we created this virtual gallery for the Rijksmuseum where you don't actually need to go to the Rijksmuseum anymore, but you can sit on your own couch. And, you know, that's not a bad thing. That's also actually a good thing. So disabled people at home who cannot come, or elderly people, can still visit some of the art. Or, you know, we can stay on our own couches and shop online. Or we don't, for legal help, we don't need to go out anymore. We can do it all by using digital services. So, you know, things are becoming less human. But I think us as designers, we're also still looking to how can we make things actually more human. And there are some ways we can do that. And by one of the ways we do that is by actually designing for human connection. And even when designing digital services, there's still a way where we can provide real human connection. For example, for the UMCU, there's a way you can make an appointment with your doctor, but all the boring stuff that you would do in a meeting is already done before. So all the stuff like, okay, what is your name? Have you had previous diseases? All the boring stuff you can already fill in. So when you're actually sitting across with a doctor, you can talk about your own problem and he can talk to you as a human and not as a robot who needs to fill in a document. So sometimes when you cannot design for the actual one-to-one moment, you can still design for how to make us feel human. And that can mean 3 things. For example, it can mean design for the same mistakes that we make. This is an example of Siri, where you tell Siri to set a reminder for the next day, but it's already 1 a.m., so it's already the next day. But Siri knows if you tell it at 1 a.m. to set a reminder for the next day, you mean today, because we're on today. Like that's a very human mistake that technology can understand. Or it can mean like speak our language. Us as people, we don't use a lot of the terms that companies are, you know, using themselves. So when talking about legal help, we designed this this service which actually asks you, what is the problem? Tell us, what is going on? Instead of describe the legal problem of your employer and like all that robot stuff, you can take out. And you can actually, you know, speak to people as other people, also in digital services. And lastly, it also means it can help us to find connection and support. This is a project I designed for the Dutch Indies Monument, where people could go to during Corona times when they couldn't go to the actual monument in The Hague. And people of the Dutch Indies community could share stories with each other of how they felt about the war, or how they're actually living together right now with families, and questions that they had, they could post on here and still share a human moment. So just because we have all these new technologies which can, you know, also separate us, it doesn't mean that we always should. Because if we're only heading in that direction, you know, this is maybe where we may end up. Like Wall-E, all floating, isolated with our own screens, going underworld. So I would like to call to all designers who are here right now or maybe watching at home. Maybe one of those is not better than the other, but please be conscious when you pick what. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Ruben. Really inspiring, and with a loud and clear message, I think. Dani, you can take the stage if you like.
Yes. Yes. Okay, cool. So I'm still wondering how I'm gonna cramp this into 5 minutes. So it's gonna be fun. Yeah, it's enough. Okay, quick. Okay, cool. So I'm gonna. If this works, it's gonna be. If it. It's probably there, right? No. It's the green button. The green button. This is green, right? 4 minutes left.
We zetten hem even op stop, de tijd.
I'm still watching at the clock. It's gonna be more and more fun. Yes. No? You clicked too hard.
Battery.
Suspense is killing us.
Can I click for? What?
Oh my. Do you want me to do a sign? Yes? Okay, yeah, that's okay. Yeah. Can you click now? Okay, because I'm gonna skip some slides. Can you click again? Yes. Is it working? Cool. Yeah. Yes. Okay. So, I'm gonna talk a little bit about magic, which is a bit in our profession. It's a bit hard, but so my grandfather, he was an actual magician, a real one, and I learned from him that if you want to create magic, you need two things. Just two ingredients. One, you need technique. It's either like being quick with your fingers, mirrors, smoke, whatever technique you have. And the second one is your interpretation of that technique. And that's, you have the technique, but what you do with it is what makes the trick. So what does the trick? And I think what's super interesting, that if you translate it to what we do every day, it's more or less the same. It's like the technique is the technology. We have new technologies. Every day there's new technologies that we can use in our advantage, and that for we use our creativity. So if you combine those two, you get magic. And what I try to show, but it's going to be so hard in 5 minutes, is that any dull brief that lands on your desk can become somewhat of magical if you interpret it the right way with technology and creativity. So I cut it down to 2 cases because I thought it was 7 minutes, but it's 5, so it's going to be so much fun if this fixed. So we're working for a client called Kvadrat, and they make fabrics, amazing, beautiful fabrics. And during this pandemic, they wanted us to showcase their latest fabric collection, which is called, confusingly, it's called Fabric. So I'm just going to show you a film. And so on. So what we did, there was this, instead of like, what you want with fabric is you want to feel fabric, but you can't because it's a pandemic and we're all at home. So what we did is we made an interactive art installation where we asked emerging designers to work with their fabric, and they turned it into art, and then we brought their headquarters. We turned it into a gallery, but we tried to incorporate all these small like nuggets, from an actual exhibition. So we did a podcast that was an audio tour. So you could actually walk through the digital museum with this audio tour. We did live Q&As, and it was all lots of fun. Second, and also lastly, we had a quite big corporate bank. It's ABN AMRO. Because it says ABN AMRO. And they're trying to recruit IT professionals, and I know where this ends. And it was one of the most fun projects I ever did, but when it was still a brief, this is what it was. And everyone was like, "Ooh, this is going to be super, super tough." But yeah, I'm going to show you a film again.
If you're a tech-savvy millennial, everybody is recruiting you. You like a challenge and complex issues, but you'd never consider a dusty corporate as your employer. That's why Dutch bank ABN AMRO created The Lockdown, the world's first mobile AR escape room. A unique augmented reality app that turns any room into a world-class escape room. Created together with the mystery architects of Sherlock and technology experts of ABN AMRO.
Please don't be afraid.
Search clues.
It's encrypted. Break it before it's too late.
Think fast. Prevent a financial disaster. And learn that ABN AMRO works on global IT challenges in blockchain, info security, and AI.
Yeah, so what we did was we had actual there are actual people who design escape rooms, and with the best architects from the Netherlands, we designed this AR escape room together with the ABN AMRO, where we had actual everyday puzzles you had in your job as actual puzzles in this game. And still today, it's almost 4 years old. It's still their most notable recruitment tool they have, and a lot of people still trying to beat the game, which is incredibly hard. I cannot beat it, so that's fun. So yeah, 7. I thought it was 7. It's only 5. So it was such a big trap. This was way too short to do the whole full story, but this is mostly what it is. Thank you so much for your time.
Well, now we can see that you design everything. Even the word lockdown was pre-designed post-COVID by a Dutch design agency, obviously. Kees, I give the stage to you. You also have 5 minutes, so I don't know what you expected.
So I'm looking at the clock.
Yeah.
Okay, cool. So, hi, my name is Kees Dingler, and I'm co-founder of Capitola.
The mic.
The mic, of course. Yes.
Yeah.
Again, my name is Kees Dingler. I'm co-founder of Capitola. Together with Mike, he's sitting here in front of stage. I updated my presentation a bit since it's already 4 weeks ago and a lot of things happened again. Things go fast. We're in the field of AR and VR, and I'm going to share a couple of insights with you. Our company is built on coders and creatives working closely together and getting inspired by technology as well. The first new buzzword, digital, I think it's important to mention. It's the merge between the physical world and the virtual world. And I'm going to show you a little video which sort of starts to explain things.
Een bijzondere samenwerking die J.J. Bosko op zijn Instagram deelde vandaag. Lees en Subway die ontwikkelden samen een jas. Een bijzonder ding is dat. Van gerecyclede chipszakken en een vulling van volle chipszakken. De jas is ontworpen als een NFT. Dat is een uniek online ontwerp om je karakter mee aan te kleden. En die kan je dus zelf je toe-eigenen. In totaal zijn er 5 verkrijgbaar. 4 worden er weggegeven via de site van Subway. De laatste die wordt geveild. Dus Sotheby's, een veilinghuis in Haarlem. Zodat iedereen kans kan maken. En het mooie is, de opbrengsten daarvan gaan naar de voedselbank.
So the cool thing about this is this idea was actually not designed by us, but by the agency Fitzroy. They came up with the idea to build a jacket. And they asked us, can you make a virtual jacket of it? Like a virtual try-on Snapchat. And we said, yes, we can do that. And then we came up with the idea, okay, if we make this virtual jacket, then why not make an NFT out of it? And if we make an NFT out of it, why then don't have a cool auction somewhere in the Netherlands? And that's what happened. But what happened was actually we went from the physical to the virtual world. And what you're seeing now, the last 4 weeks, it turns the other way around. You see that the big fashion brands have fashion shows based on virtual fashion. So these things are merging. And I think a lot of money from the fashion industry goes to this Web3. Why? Because brands are being built virtual, like quite rapidly now. So they're all pretty aware and afraid that like the brands they've been building for tens and tens of years can be built within a couple of weeks virtual and then being brought back to physical. So I think that's the most cool thing that is happening now. The other thing is the location-based augmented reality. We know augmented reality, but Niantic, the builders of Pokemon Go, they merged with 8-Wall, which is a web augmented reality platform. And they're gonna bring this whole location-based and bringing the world, merging the world with augmented reality. So now we're able to scan the world and project over the world rather than just projecting the dinosaur in the room. So there's a very cool thing happening there, which could lead to really cool location-based virtual pop-up stores where you can say, okay, we're not going to only build an AR experience, but we're going to build it on a specific place where you have to walk to get incentivized. So I think that's going to be a very cool movement the coming year. Things like this could happen, you know, this is just an MVP we're building. We're constantly building prototypes and linking that to new technologies. But imagine you could link this pop-up store to a certain place and invite people on social to go to the place and check it out. I think that's some cool things happening there. Then back to Ruben's question about the human factor in there. What you've seen hasn't got a human factor, but there's weird things going on. Unreal, which is an engine software, just developed MetaHuman, and MetaHuman is a software where you can really recreate people, real people, fake people, but real people. And does it really matter? Because people feel accompanied by a robot dog. So I think we have to ask ourselves, like, I heard the question a lot, like where is the human factor? But we should also ask ourselves, like, does it really matter? Because if we can recreate humans virtual with AI and we're getting in contact with them, what does it do to us? So here's a little example of it to show on what edge of reality we are right now.
I am a metahuman.
9 o'clock. Thank you very much.
Well, thank you, Kees. Well, three great examples of Dutch agencies bringing work to South by Southwest. Bert, you're the founder of Dutch Digital Design. Well, why do you unite these agencies, and how do you decide who can present at the stage in Austin?
Yes, Bert. We have this big Rad van Fortuin, and then we...
Tombola.
Yeah. No, the initiative was set up to promote the very best in digital design from the Netherlands, because we felt this stage was adding a lot of value to the already very known Dutch design, but then more the digital side. One started out from a Media Monks presentation, and ever since we have been creating a stage online, but also physically at events like South by Southwest, where we present the best of work we have in the Netherlands. And then we have the group of 30 agencies being a partner of the initiative, and they collaborate with all of these others together to make this work and make it possible. And when we have an event like South by Southwest, we just put the word out that we are going there, and whoever wants to chip in and become part of that. So it came quite natural.
Yeah,
that was the answer.
Oh, that's a good thing.
So
okay, that's good.
No selection.
And well, you're over there at the like the Olympics or the Champions League of design and tech and digital design. How do we compare to all these really great agencies over there?
Yeah, I think when the initiative started, when you look at Europe, I think Sweden was really top of the bill with North Kingdom. And funny enough, North Kingdom was one of the guests in our panel later on, the CEO of North Kingdom. But I think Netherlands really stepped up the game in digital design over the last couple of years. And you know, that's a great thing happening. And if we can contribute a little bit to that, that's even a greater thing.
And why is it getting better? Why are we growing? Because you also see well, agencies starting in Austin or in other places in the United States and all around Europe or in Asia.
Yeah, so quality is everywhere, and like what is quite different from Dutch design, which you can really recognize in signature, it's not doable in digital design because there's so many forms and appearances in that. But I think when it comes to the Dutch, and we tell the story about the Dutch behind the work that we make, we talk about the Dutch aspects like you know, experimenting, exploring boundaries, but not to forget, I think that's a beautiful thing happening in South by Southwest and within the initiative, is that we really collaborate well with each other within different disciplines within digital design, but also within an initiative like the New Dutch Wave, and with the New Dutch Wave for the other trade missions, and in South by Southwest with all of the agencies. So that's really a really Dutch thing, I think.
Okay, well, good to hear. Ruben, you went to Austin, obviously. Was it your first time, or?
It was. Yeah, it was.
Yeah, and what did you think? How was the experience for you?
It was really good.
Yeah.
Yeah, the drinks were great, and also I think, especially as designers at Fabriek, who really try to put something of value in the world, or at least we like to believe, you really need to know what's going on in the world. And I think there's not a lot of better places where you can find so much of what is happening in 1 week as on South by Southwest. So it was really awesome to be a part of that.
And what inspired you most, or who?
There was a talk that I went to, was from 2 designers, and very badly forgot their names. But they were working together in a design agency, and they created all these solutions that actually were helping humans. So they created this device which could help you sleep, and they looked at the way we create our education system. And I loved the idea that they're using technology, but like the device on itself, nobody would want to put that on their head. But they made it in a very human way. So they made it soft, and they made actually that you wanted to wear it. And I loved that there's still a lot of designers who look at the world in that way and figure out, okay, how can we make this actually pleasant for people? And yeah, that inspired me a lot.
Yeah, and your talk was about humanizing technology.
Yeah.
Did you see any big trends helping us maybe to do that?
Yeah, I think artificial intelligence can be either a very bad way to go about that or a great way, because artificial intelligence also means anticipating your needs. And that means really simply, if you made a booking for something, then probably that system can also understand what you need next. So it can also be about helping. And that to me was very inspiring.
Yeah, and how do you can you apply it in your daily work?
Yeah, I think so. When the client has that same ambition that we do, and of course, I think we're not there yet. So it still takes some guts to want to invest in that as a client. But I do think that we still see more need from our own clients to work with that technology, really to help people or their own service.
So maybe you can take your client next year. So
yeah, we will try.
Danny, well, how many time was it for you in Austin?
The first.
The first, also the first.
Yes.
You have an agency over there.
Yes, we also in Austin. Yeah.
Yeah. So you met a lot of colleagues over there.
Yeah, and a lot of clients and
clients.
Different people. Yeah.
So you actually worked and yeah.
Yeah. Yes, more or less. Yeah. Try not to work. Yeah, too much.
And you talked a bit about creativity and magic. What was your magic moment in Austin?
Ooh, my magic moment. I think the one that sparked the most magic was a keynote from Reggie Fils-Aimé. He was a VP from Nintendo North America, and his talk was about innovate or die. But he's an amazing speaker. So he talked about innovation for an hour, and it felt like 5 minutes, and it was too bad it was over. So yeah, that was a very magical, although it was like in a super big conference hall, it felt super intimate, and yeah, it was amazing.
And what was the main lesson he gave to you?
Innovate or die. No, that was the main. Yeah, he was talking about. He was in a. Yeah, it was true. He was. When he joined Nintendo, they had big competition entering the game. They had competition from Sony and from Microsoft, and they were building hardware that was just better than what Nintendo had. And instead of trying to compete with them, they just innovated, and they did something different. And it was so inspiring to hear it, because from a distance it feels so obvious, but of course there's a super complicated thing going on to do something totally different and to experiment, because it was all more or less experimentation and didn't know if the people would actually buy their stuff. And well, he more or less single-handedly saved the whole company, although probably not, but he said so. Yeah. Tried to convince us.
Yeah. Kees, it definitely wasn't the first time you went to.
Yeah.
It was, really, because you travel a lot to the States.
Yeah, but that was probably the reason that we often go to San Francisco or LA.
Yeah.
Because that's where we are like trying to get foot on the ground. So there's a good reason to go there. So we heard like people go south by southwest. So where do we go? Do we go there, or are we going to invest there? So this year was the first time, and I was very happy that we flew via LA though. But I was happy to be there, definitely, yeah.
And what was your main lesson over there?
Well, we didn't spend $1,500 on a badge, so we were not allowed to get in anywhere. Okay. So I can't tell that much. These guys do. But what we did, we brought our representative of LA to get us in contact with as much people he could. So we were like as two little ducks. We were walking behind him, and he took us to all the places and all the drinks from the agencies and so on, which I felt was really inspiring. And like the whole openness of the US, and especially at this event, is so cool because you just start to talk and you don't stop. And so it didn't feel weird not being at the actual venue, but just being in the streets. And what I found the most amazing, that we're both known with the Cannes Lions Festival, which is held every year. And there, like 10, 15 years ago, it was going on, right? Like when you got there was like free drinks everywhere, and the money was there. And you saw it slowly drying up. And then I came in Austin and said, okay, here's the money.
Here are the free beers.
It starts all over again. So I was very happy. And I think especially, I was back. And but especially what I really enjoyed, and therefore it's worth just being at the streets, at the drinks, that the whole new breed of creatives, I thought was super, super cool. Where advertising gets a bit more business-like, and when you see people being creative, they look like many others. But here, people are really genuinely creative, and I thought it was the coolest thing to see. So being out in the streets, saving yourself $1,500, worth it. Yeah.
Yeah. And one of your Capitola's thing is adopting new technology, do experiments, and then go to market as soon as possible, but just before everybody else does it. Do you think there were new trends or technologies? We will see this year, or you're working with now?
Well, again, I couldn't really retrieve that, but there is lots of stuff happening, like my first video, like this whole, I think the whole, like the Web3 was the big deal, of course, there. Yeah. But since then and now, like the whole fashion industry, like what's happening there, I think is really picking up. And today I was looking at 3 of our developers that were playing around after work, and they're working on new virtual fitting. And I think that is at such a high level that I never, like if you would have asked me 5 years ago, I would have said, well, we'll never really get there, you know, the virtual fitting, like we all saw these movies 5 years ago. But I'm seeing examples right now which are so close to reality that we're really there in like virtual fitting fashion. And I think that is one of the coolest things that's happening, and it's like evolving pretty fast right now. And because there's a lot of money there, it's also spinning at this moment.
And what you're feeling, because the Netherlands is quite small, but so clients are always complaining about budgets. Is it going to happen also over here? Are the budget big enough to create these awesome things you saw?
I think what we see at our agency, where we have 2 agencies, like we have one, we split it though, but like one of that is the Capitola Social, and you see that they don't, they sort of in a very logic way go international, because the filters we make and the screen recordings are being spread through social and being picked up at the other end of the world by a fashion brand who's like thinking, oh, these guys, they know how to nail it. So like in a very organic way, this agency went international and with international people. On the side of the more agency-like, it's still hard, you know, because the budgets are not there. But I think Holland, as a creative country, especially on the merge of technology and design, I think we have a big advantage. So we can go out and spread the word.
Yeah. And then Dani, of course, talent is a really a challenge for most agencies right now. Is South by also a good festival to go to if you want to recruit people or international talent?
Yes and no. I think, it's a good way, of course, to get your name out as well, and just to show people who you are and what you do. I think that's most important. And in that sense, I would say yes. But there was never a purpose of recruiting people when going there, or no. So that guess no.
Okay, okay. Ruben, what was your biggest lesson over there, or the?
Oh, that's a really good one. I think my biggest lesson is that even though the main stories are about emerging technologies, NFTs, the metaverse, I think for me the things that will matter is the smaller stuff that people are working on that you don't really notice. But you know, I love to know that there's still designers that try to make our lives like a little bit better. That you don't have to wait 20 days before you have a passport at the gemeente. You know, it's stuff that's not being talked about. But for me, like those little more human moments that people are still working on that, and maybe even going beyond that and trying to still save lives by designing different alarms in hospitals. Yeah, that's what stood out to me.
Yeah.
And that gave me a lot of confidence for the future.
Yeah, so everybody can make a difference. That's
for sure. Yeah, both the really crazy technology, which is also awesome, and also the not so obvious, noticeable things in society. Yeah.
Good to hear. Bert, this was the first time in a new setup, and you cooperated with a lot of countries. How was it for Dutch digital design?
Well, again, it was great collaborating within the new Dutch Wave. We had the first experience in 2019. So again, like somebody else said, this tonight, this 2020 we were about to leave, and then it didn't happen. So we were really happy that it did happen, and it was also a good plan to collaborate with the other houses and share facilities and mix in the crowds, because in the end the trade mission is really bringing other people together with each other, and as less as Dutch within that crowd is a good thing to have.
Yeah, yeah. And what's the lesson for next year? What you're going to do differently, or maybe?
Well, actually, I can say we definitely look back at the good event, because we had 6 presentations of, now 5 minutes was definitely a challenging thing, but you did very well. So they had 15 minutes there, and altogether with 6 presentations, the level was very good, and it was a good variety. And then there was a good, interesting panel after that with Adidas and Van Move.
What we like to say. Yeah.
So looking back, we hope to do such a thing next year if we can. And but collaborating with the agencies and within the trade mission is definitely ingredient for success.
Well, I hope I'm going to be there as well, and
you should,
and hear all of your stories again. Well, thank you for listening, and thank you for your talk.
Give them a warm applause.
Yeah.
Thanks.
Great on timing. I'm not sure if my mic is working, and we have yes, it is working. Oh, we have a small video before we go to our final panel.
New Dutch Wave is a really nice initiative, and it makes it really easy to connect with other people in the industry.
I've met so many people and different agencies that I didn't know before, and it was really cool seeing the work that's been done over the past few years.
For me, South by Southwest is an excellent opportunity to present the group of Dutch creative agencies, but also for myself to meet others and other organizations, agencies, brands, and to also see interesting sessions.
We're very happy to be a part of the new Dutch Wave group and to meet all the Dutch people. We met a lot of new people, and of course also to meet a lot of international people.
The main reason why I'm here is that every time I'm blown away by all the things I hear every day in separate sessions.
Previously, the new Dutch Wave had its own Dutch house, and now it's like a traveling company of a group of Dutch people, really connecting every time with others. So that is perfect.
Right now, we are having this fantastic meetup between the Dutch delegation and the Danish delegation, and this is what it's all about: going to South by, the collaboration, the meetups, the matchmaking. So we're so excited today.
It's very easy to get to know, make new contacts, and that's just a cool reason to be here.
Meet people and speak to people, eat with people, drink with people.
You can feel the vibe. It's really good. Yeah.
So welcome to our final panel, and I give the floor to Simone.
Thanks, Danny. Yeah, this is the third panel.
The best one.
It's the best one, isn't it? Yeah. Because it's about society and societal changes, and that's, if I also listening to Ruben and we take the human approach, then I think this is all that we need to talk about today, right?
What it is about at the end.
It is. Ine, you're here with us online as well.
Yes. Yes. You hear me?
Yes, yes, we do hear you. Super nice that you're attending.
Yes, I'm in Venice at the moment.
You're at Venice.
I'm in Venice.
All right. So what are you doing in Venice?
Well, there's the Venice Biennial, which is like for the art scene, something like the Olympic Games. So you should be there.
Yeah. And what are you presenting there, or are you presenting something?
No, well, we are of course presenting the Common Life exhibition that is coming up in Utrecht, Muntgebouw, near the Zware Jongens, where Arne Koevoet is also related to, from Wink, and that Common Life show is opening on June 3rd and running until July 31. And so we are, of course, you're sharing this with the press, international press, all that stuff. That's what we're doing. But I'm also enjoying very good art. It's a very, very good biennial this year.
All right. Yeah, so other inspiring stuff. Well, I'm also want to ask you to introduce yourself, and also why did you go to South by Southwest?
Yes. Shall I start?
Take it away.
Yes, please.
My name is Karen van Ruiten. I'm Managing Director for the Institute of Positive Health and the organization Always Health. And both organizations work on health. And nice to see you again, Ine. The second time I went to South by, the first time was in 2019. And the second time I came to South by, I knew I wanted to go there for some topics, but also to learn new things, because I get easily bored in the Netherlands. So it's good, especially for health innovation. Yeah. My background is in medtech, in health and innovation and in politics. So you see that health and healthcare is really slow in innovating, in getting to new things, using the technology in the hospitals. So all those innovative and creative ideas and learnings, that's why I went for the second time to Austin.
Clear, thanks.
Thanks. Hi everyone, I'm Austin.
Your name's Austin.
Yeah, I know.
I
went
to Austin.
It's really true, yes.
That was a bit strange. So I'm Australian, but I've been in your wonderful country for 15 years. So thanks for having me. I'm co-founder of a company called Dayrise, and we started back in 2019. Actually, I was on holiday with one of my co-founders. I think that's him. And we were actually on holiday by a swimming pool, and our kids were playing in the swimming pool, and they were playing on a big floaty device. I think it was a unicorn, and we got into this big debate about whether or not that product was sustainable or not, and how you can draw a parallel between sustainability and enjoyment. And this debate raged on for about 3 or 4 days. And where we got to was that we didn't know. We just didn't know whether the product was sustainable or not. And that was 2019 at the time. We thought it was crazy that still in that time, when we went shopping for any consumer product, we just didn't know the impact of the product. So how can we make good decisions if we don't have the information? So we set out to solve that. Without taking you too far down the rabbit hole, we realised pretty quickly that the reason why there's not enough information for consumers is because brands don't know the impact of their products. They just don't. Big brands and small brands, they don't know the impact. So we first had to solve it for the brands before we can solve it for the consumers, which is what we did. So we got 20 of the best sustainability scientists in Europe together in a room, which we thought was going to be for 6 months, turned out to be for 2.5 years. And we cracked it, and we've created a technology that can actually assess the environmental impact of any consumer product. So we've been live for a little time now. We were in the US for South by Southwest, primarily for commercial reasons, because we've got clients over there. But it's an amazing place to be. Just the people that you meet and the inspiration that you're there. It's just, even if you don't have an agenda like we did, you walk out with so much stuff.
So was that like you're mentioning the main reason to go there is because you already have clients there, and then they also go there, right? And then that's the place to meet. Is that how it?
Yeah,
goes,
so some clients we met there, which was great. I would say though that even the clients that we didn't meet there, for us as a startup, to be going to South by Southwest, it was just great cachet for us to even have that on the back of trying to meet up with them. And actually last year we were a finalist at South by Southwest at their Innovation Awards, which was great but really shitty because it was virtual. So this was our sort of comeback event to go there. But I think for us, just being, as a startup, being part of a big event like that just gives us a great deal of credibility, so it really helps.
Yeah, I can imagine. So, and Ine, what about you? What was your main reason to go there, or maybe you've been there a lot?
So,
I don't know.
South by Southwest is, of course, a very, very interesting podium, and all the exhibitions that I make are really on the border, between art and technology and society. You know, that's always the kind of triangle that I'm working on. So yeah, I have been also really inspired by the different talks and lectures there, the keynotes. I was invited there myself to talk. So together with Pina de Meerdag, we had a talk at the South by Southwest Conference Center. It was called Under His AI, and it was all about collective consciousness and how to do that when we are so much governed by artificial intelligence, and of course also related to all the new trends you guys are discussing now, like the metaverse and all that stuff. So that was really interesting as well. And yeah, I heard really, really great keynotes. Really happy to be there. Also to be able to articulate some critical thoughts, which is a bit like my job to do. So
I can imagine. We will come back to that later.
Yeah.
Yeah. Thanks. I was just wondering, also looking from my role of like the government. Why is creativity important if you talk about societal change?
Yeah, I think whether it is on sustainability or it is on health or healthcare, we see that if we keep on doing it the way we have been doing it, the future of our Earth and of the people is not really only positive. So I think whether it's for climate, whether it's for feminism or sustainability or health, we need the creativity of the industry, of other sectors, other organizations to get, in my case, hospitals, mental health care organizations, or behavioral science. We need to take the next step and a leap. So even after COVID, we've seen, I think, even more that innovation and creativity is nice to look at from an art perspective, where Ine is working on. But if we can use it for a better healthcare for our own health, that's even better. So there's so much insights, and the hospital directors or the directors of the health insurers, they don't visit a South by. So that's why it's good that some people from, in my case, health industry or healthcare go there to take the insights, the knowledge, the creatives back to the health and healthcare in the Netherlands.
And is there like a difference between innovation and creativity, or is it the same?
It's very close. People make the difference, but it's the same creative minds, and lots of innovation happens in science and happens by mistake. And I think that's so kind of, being open, having an open mind and really being very curious. That's always the basis of whether you're an artist or a scientist or an innovator.
Yeah, like being curious. Yeah, interesting.
Yeah, very much.
Yeah.
And it's the thing. It's a bit what Karen says. We need to more than ever, all of us, to be able to create together a better world. in relation to climate, in relation to health, etc. So yeah, we need to collaborate more.
So for you, talking about these societal changes, what stood out for you the most? Was there a trend or something that?
Well, what I liked very much, but that's there was one keynote. It was by Amy Webb, which is and she wrote a book. Do you know her?
We already talked about the keynote of Amy Webb, Ina. So that was you're the second
popular
one mentioning the highlight.
Yeah. But why did it stood out for you? Maybe
that's really, really great.
Yeah.
And of course, it's logical that we did, because there is, of course, this big link with health and with how we should do that. But anyhow, there were more. I also liked a lot the discussions on the metaverse. There were a lot, of course, and especially also, I forgot his name. It was a science fiction writer who actually coined the term metaverse. Forgot his name, so sorry. But anyhow, and he had really, really interesting and also critical thoughts, because, I mean, there's a big danger, of course, that the whole, that it will be kind of the same big tech, the industries, the same behind it, buying it and controlling us via metaverse. But there was one insight that I loved a lot, and that is that the metaverse perhaps in the end will be used a lot for people to visit histories, not only their personal histories, but further back in time, etc. And if you look at that in that sense, you could imagine that it can enlarge our world, not only, but also creating more possibilities to learn as we forget so easily. So that's I really loved.
Interesting. Yeah. And for you, a last question. Did you reckon or felt any taboo that you want to?
Did I feel taboos? Well, yeah.
Maybe you can think about it. Maybe.
Yeah, there might be that. I think. This in the southwest, there's of course lots of talk about innovation and creativity and all that stuff and how we can make the world better. But it's very, very difficult to touch upon the underlying systems we're still working in and living in, capitalism and neoliberalism, because that is kind of you cannot touch that. So. And that is a problem, I think. I imagine it is done. There's critical thoughts, but it's like you feel it cannot go beyond a certain level.
So what was it? Yeah, thanks. Interesting. What was it that you want to mention about it?
Yeah, I recognize the fact, because we're innovating or we're being creative, but within certain boundaries. And some boundaries, you feel that is unspoken. So
Exactly.
I recognize it's about capitalism. And I think I've also noticed that it is... were some topics on feminism. So it was really nice that for some countries that New Dutch Wave organized a female executive dinner. And there is still a kind of thing, it is really nice for women, but even you saw that for some countries, for us it's quite normal to do the same thing as men. But for some countries, it's hard to speak about it and what they really feel and really think, even Americans, you don't really get all out of it. Some words are left unspoken, or some thoughts.
Yeah.
I think I agree. I would say one of the trends that I saw that speaks to that a little bit. Obviously, the topics are great. I think the content's incredible. What you walk away with, whether it's the big stuff, and there was the big three, right? The metaverse and the Web3. And the last one, which I forget right now, or the smaller ones. But what cut across everything for me that I took out as a trend was the decentralization of the workforce, which I think is a really...
Of the what?
Of the workforce.
Yeah.
which I think is really powerful, particularly as a Dutch country. And a lot of the questions today have been about whether a Dutch country can compete, and we can. Because now it's open, like COVID's accelerated it. And I went to one of the big presentations from one of the big metaverse companies, and it's awesome. Like, the content's awesome. But what I found most interesting was their CTO lives in a village outside of Sao Paulo in Brazil.
Yeah.
And they found him, and he learned how to code watching YouTube videos. And they just found him because he was the best guy. And the rest of their team was in Ukraine, which is obviously topical at the time. And for me, that cut across everything. Was no longer is the US just the place where you can do business and innovate.
Yeah.
It now can come from anywhere because the workforce is completely decentralised. So there's great energy in moments like South by Southwest. It is a fusion of, you know, innovation and music and film, but the ability to think and innovate can come from anywhere now, and that's really exciting.
Do you feel that the societal changes that are like obvious for us and that we are working on, is it that you had like a common sense of belonging with all those people there? Like the issues are the same? You work at feminism, or I am diversity and inclusion, for example. Are we on the same page in the world, or what do you think?
I'll go quickly first, but for me it was yes, only because my track was climate change, and that's global. Yeah. That's everywhere. So yes. I think the exciting thing was, I think climate change used to be like a little subsection of a bigger portfolio. Now it's its own track. Yeah. And I really do think that the brightest minds in the world are focused on solving societal issues. Yeah. Within barriers, I totally agree with that. But you know, the things that are going on, some of the presentations you see and the thinking that's going into making the world a better place is really inspiring.
I think for health and for healthcare, with some people we're on the same page, but for others I was on a different page, because if you notice that the US doesn't even have a basic insurance, they were really like, oh, you're talking about the holistic health approach or prevention or lifestyle. That's great, but we weren't even close to a basic insurance.
Yeah.
While I was focusing on smart contracts, using them more into healthcare.
Yeah.
Because there's a lot of hours and money goes into the bureaucracy and all the rules and the administration.
And how do you think, like an American, for example, I was thinking burnout and our youth, like there's a huge issue in the Netherlands. How is that for an American?
It's different because you're insured by your employer. It's hard for your openness. For us here in most, not everywhere, but it's quite okay to say I'm not feeling well, whether that is a mental or a physical issue. There's still some difference, but there's more openness around mental health. And in the American society, I think it's really a difference. So one lady from Austin I was talking to, she was really like, oh, you can talk about if you're not feeling well, whether that is depression, anxiety, or burnout. Oh, it's even unbelievable. We talk about it to each other. Yeah. While another guy, an Indian guy from Wyoming, was at the expo, and I talked to him, and he was really like, we from Wyoming, he was from a native tribe, so really from the Indians. And he was like even more connected to nature and to his health and to mental health than the city lady and the professor she was from Austin. So two Americans, total different. The guy, the Indian from Wyoming, from the native tribe, and the lady, a professor at the university, both talking about health, but it was like this for me.
Yeah, so maybe you're mentioning it's not about which country you are. But
no, it's not about which country, it's about the person.
Bring in. Yeah. How
long do we have?
Yeah, I thought I saw your hand, but okay. Ina, do you have thought about that? Or I thought you wanted to mention
it's very
something.
nice to hear both the other speakers comment on this, because actually Karen says it's very nice. Like with some I am on the same page, and with some I am not really on the same page, because I think we really, as a society, still have a lot to do, and then specifically also related to healthcare, because there's another side to what happened to us during the Corona crisis, or actually you could say the Corona pandemic kind of enlarged systemic structural like defaults in our society that we really need to solve in a different way. It kind of enlarged also the fact that we are more and more like driven apart also by technology.
Driven apart by technology.
Technology.
Oh yeah.
What a shame.
Serendipity it was. Yeah.
We lost it. Yeah. So also, I'm just following you up. In one word, so which societal change is gonna come?
For me, it's trust, I hope. Trust, because I think trust is the basis to innovate, to be creative, but also to trust in ourselves and our bodies and other persons. Trust.
Thanks.
Thanks. I'd say hope, because, like, particularly again, I'll keep referencing back to sustainability, but sustainability is overused as a term and it's misrepresented, and it comes with a lot of baggage of negativity and guilt. And there's hope. Like, there's some really cool shit happening that's going to help us. It's not the panacea. We still have to change the way we live, but technology is going to help us do that. So there's hope. That's probably my societal change.
Thanks.
For next year.
Yeah, for next year. Ina's back. Ina,
yes.
We had some technical issues pronouncing you the word technique, so that was a laugh.
Perfect. It's exactly what I mean. So no, I was just telling that, for instance, we are preparing this Come Alive exhibition, which is about erotics as a life force, as a vitality to connect again between people, and also to show, and for us, all of us, when we come there, which is really an experience, to understand and feel that we really can take that in our own hands, that we really can make efforts and steps together to become also more healthy, which is the reason why, for instance, the Come Alive exhibition, we work together with the GGD, with the Rutgers Stichting, and those companies, because they're all interested in, I mean, health is also sexual health and etc. So and this connection is central. And I see it again also now when I'm in Venice here, how many different works of art again also really push and strive to find this connection. And I think that it's just crucial. You know, we don't need all those interfaces or wellness industries with plastic bottles, etc. We can do a lot ourselves. And I think that is also the connection with Karen. I think, you know, that is a lot we can re-evaluate and rethink.
Yeah, Karen was mentioning we need to trust our bodies and ourselves again.
Absolutely, that's the same thing. Yeah.
And I hear you, like, what I take from this is like it's time to reconnect with ourselves, but also with each other.
So, yeah, and of course it has a lot to do with our Western society. We have this big divide between bodies and minds, and although there have been very interesting books, I remember Damasio writing about the fact that actually the body is has the main knowledge. The main knowledge comes from the body, and the mind kind of gives it stories. We still don't behave like that. We don't listen to our bodies enough. This might be a good start to make that change. Yeah.
Thanks. We're at the end. So Ina, thank you very much, and enjoy Venice. And I also want to thank you.
Thank you.
Actually, there is still a short movie from Austin, which we were supposed to look in the start. So, Dayrise. Austin, this is for you. before I'm going to take some questions, I'm going to close out this session. Thank you, CreativeNL, for having us here today at Pakhuis de Zwijger. And all these amazing speakers. Also, a big applause for yourself. For the people at home, thank you for listening. And are we going to do a short movie from Pakhuis de Zwijger? Always, yes, right? Okay, here we go.